We're gonna be reading today. So, I decided to get in bed because I like to read in bed just like this. So I thought it would be cozy. But yeah, so I have the book right here actually in my hand. I don't know if you can hear me turn the pages. Let me see. Can you hear that? The book. The book. But I'm gonna be reading it from the screen, so I'm not looking down the whole time. So. Oh, it's Kiran? Kiran? Am I saying that right? Kiran? Kirun? Kiran? I don't know. But yeah, I've been reading these light novels and I've been really enjoying it, so I'm kind of glad it got picked from the poll. The other story seemed interesting too, but I didn't really know anything about it. So there we go. I'm not gonna do like crazy voices or anything, but I will try not to read it like plainly. Hello, Kao Shinji. I see you this time. Yay. Thank you. I wanted to make like a little simple bedroom because I can't decide how I want my room to look like all the way yet. So I was like, I'll just do like against the wall for now. It'll be okay. But let me see. Before I start, I didn't have enough space so that I would have like character pictures on the screen the whole time, but I still wanted to show a picture, so let me find it. Oh, thank you! Victo Match for following. Thank you! And hello, Lanka and Crystalis. I see y'all. Okay, let me show the picture. I feel like, I don't know, most people know what No Game No Life is, but here. There they are. From left to right. Let's see. From left to right. On the far left is Steph. She's stupid. And then you have Sora. He's, well, you'll see. And then Shiro, the popular one, the one who gets all the figures. And then Jabril, which that's how I'm gonna say her name, so Stephanie Supremacy. I like Steph. I like her. When I watched the anime, I felt bad for her, but then I thought it was funny, so I got over it. It's kind of fun to bully her, I think. The guy looks like a junkie. he needs sleep. That's his problem. He needs sleepy sleep. Yeah, I love Steph with her dog ears. I kind of forget that she doesn't have them all the time, actually. And yeah, I really wish there was a season 2. One of my favorite, like, I guess, one season anime. Because I feel like a lot of my favorites are really long ones, but it needs a season 2, but I don't think it's gonna happen. It's sad. But okay. Let me get this out the way. I will, let me check something real quick. Should I haven't decided. Should I play the music in the background while I'm reading, or should I turn it off? Like, I couldn't decide which was best. Like, I think I'd have like a, like, Like this. I pick like one song and I would just loop it or something. Can you even hear it? I don't know. Because I know what I hear in my headphones is not the same. So I'm not sure if it's too low or not. Music soft enough. Let me see. What if it's like this? Should I leave it like this or should I just turn it off? I don't know. Let me move this book out the way. Well, I guess when nobody's complaining, I'll just leave it then. So, here we go. The next page is very dangerous, so I'm gonna skip it. The next page is it's Shiro and Steph in the bathtub or like in the shower and they don't have any clothes on. So I don't want to get in trouble. I'm gonna skip it. Let's go to page 5. 5. Okay. This one says, and this page is kind of confusing because it's like you don't know these characters yet, but let me go to my book real quick. The one on the left says, I won't give it to anyone. Our country belongs to us. And the one on the right says, I want it to save Alkia. So let's read and figure out what that's all about. Next. And this one says, come, let the games begin. I love the art, by the way. But this is not a manga, so here we go. Table of contents. By the way, I am not an audiobook. I will say stuff wrong and also give my commentary as I go. And also, I will read the comments still, so feel free to interrupt me. Because we are hanging out. I'm not an audiobook. I'm a little creature. Okay. Urban legends. These whispers traveling through the world, as countless as the stars, represent a kind of wish. Like the urban legend that humans have never been to the moon. Like the Freemason conspiracy hidden in the dollar bill. Like the Philadelphia experiment into time travel. The nuclear shelter on the Chiyoda line, Area 51, the Roswell incident, etc. Looking at these innumerable urban legends, one can see a clear pattern emerging. Namely, they are composed of a wish. It would sure be cool. It's said that there's no smoke without fire. But when you think about the nature of rumors and how a big fish gets embellished until it's too big to even be a fish, you can see how these urban legends come to form. In short, they're based on true stories, but they are not themselves true. To put it bluntly, they're mostly BS. And yet, they don't quite deserve to be complained about, or even wondered about, really. Since ancient times, people have always preferred fate over coincidence, beginning with the very fact that the birth of humanity was the product of an astronomically unlikely coincidence. Thus, people want to think, from their instincts, from the rules they have experienced, that someone intentionally made humanity, that the world was not made of chaos, but of order. Imagining someone in the back pulling the strings to find meaning in the absurd and unreasonable world. At the very least, wishing that it could be true. So too, can it be said that urban legends are generally another product of this earnest wish? So, there are urban legends numerous enough to light up the sky. What isn't as well known is that some of them are actually true. Just to be clear, that isn't to say that any of the previously mentioned urban legends are true. It's simply that there do exist urban legends emerging from a different principle. For instance, a rumor too surreal to believe becoming an urban legend. Here's an example of such a rumor. It's a rumor whispered around earnestly on the internet of a gamer named Blank. There they are! They say he holds unbeatable records in the online rankings for over 280 games. That there's a gamer who swept up all the world's top ranks with his player name Blank. You probably think, no way. Of course, that's what everyone thinks. The hypothesis they've come up with is simple. That it's a trendy convention among game devs just to leave names as a space in their rankings for their games, so people wouldn't know who they were and it isn't an actual player. Yet bizarrely, people keep on claiming that they've actually played him. They say he's unbeatable. They say he's shut out chess programs that have beaten even grandmasters. They say his playstyle defies common sense and is impossible to read. They say they used tools and cheat codes and they still lost. They say. That just reminds me of every time someone starts a sentence with they say, I'm always like, who is they? And then people get annoyed at me. They're like, you know, they. Who? Anyway. Those who are even a little interested into such rumors probe deeper. Why? It's simple. If he has the top online ranks in console games, PC games, and social network games, then he must have an account. If he exists, then you should be able to look up his history. But there's no way such a person could actually... And then they sneer and search, and there's the trap. Because there actually is a user registered with the name Blank on every console, every SNS, and anyone can see Blank's history. And there can be found a number of trophies that could literally be expressed as countless, because Blank matches... Oh, hold on. Blank's match records list is not a single loss. And so the plot thickens. Even though the facts are solid, the rumor becomes even more unbelievable. It's a hacker who's erased his lost records. It's a gamer group that invites only the best players, etc., etc. Thus, a new urban legend is born. On the other hand, in this case, some of the blame does lie with the party who originated the rumor Blank. After all, he has an account. He's been given his place to speak. Yet he says not a word and responds to no contact. Since he releases not so much as a bite of information, everything about him, except that he's Japanese, is a mystery. No one knows his face, and this is yet another factor that accelerates the growth of an urban legend. Hello, Rue. Rue2K2, I see you. And so, it's time for an introduction. This is it, the uncontested king of the global rankings for over 280 games. The legendary gamer who continues to make unbeatable records. Blank, in the flesh! Ah, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I died. Come on, res me already. Slurp. Should I do a slurp? I don't have anything to slurp. I guess it was too hard to use 2 mice with my feet. What? Just res me already. Hey, no fair, little sister. I haven't eaten anything in 3 days, and here you are leisurely slurping instant noodles in the middle of a battle. Brother, you want some? We've got some calorie mate. Calorie mate is for... Uh-oh. I don't know how to say that word. I'm gonna skip it. Calorie mate is for rich people, probably. Who's gonna eat that? Just res me. Sure. And then Schwa ping. Boing. Yes, Brocon. I mean, no, this is a normal This is a normal light novel. Okay. Oh right, some people wanted me to say the O word, but they don't use that here, so I'll have to say it on my own. Ahem. Oni-chan. Oni-chan. Wow. I said the word. Imoto. The buzzwords. Okay, let me find my place. Okay, righto, props. Wait, what time is it? Still 8 o'clock in the middle of the night? 8 a.m. is the middle of the night? That's a new way of looking at it, my sister. What day is it? I don't know. It's my first, second, fourth cup of noodles? So I guess the fourth? No, my sister. I didn't mean the number of days we've been up. I meant what day of the month. You don't have a job. Why does it matter? It matters! There are events on online games and tournaments. This young man and girl enjoying their online games spoke across the room without bothering with eye contact. The room was probably big enough for 16 tatami mats. Pretty big, but with countless consoles, 4 PCs each, 8 total, along with the wiring that snaked around the floor with a modern art-like complexity. The open game boxes and the scattered noodle cups and plastic bottles they called rations. There wasn't enough space left in the room to fill the original size. In the pale light of the LED displays they had chosen, like true gamers, real ones to know, for their fast refresh rate and the faint glimmer of a long-risen sun through the blackout curtains, they conversed. Brother, aren't you gonna get a job? Well, aren't you gonna go to school today? They spoke no further. The brother, Sora, Sky are empty. 18, unemployed, virgin, unpopular, socially incompetent, video game vegetable. A young man with messy black hair, in jeans and a t-shirt, looking just the part of a shut-in. The sister, Shiro, white, 11, truant, friendless, bullied, socially phobic, video game vegetable. You know, I love their descriptions. I feel like I have a lot of solidarity with them. I see your comment, wow, they're just like me. Real shut-ins don't wear jeans. That's so true. I would never like willingly wear jeans in the house. He needs to get it together. Okay, where am I at? Oh, a girl who, with her pure white hair, looked far too unlike him to be related. Hair which still dangled low and apparently uncared for, covering her face as she sat in an elementary school sailor uniform she hadn't worn outside the house since she'd switched schools. The characters for their names put together spelled Kuhaku, blank. And there they are. Next. And there she is. One of my favorite little things about No Game No Life is the fact that the color descriptions for the characters seem to never match the art. Because the art's so colorful. It's like, I've never seen a drawing of Sora where he had black hair, and I've never seen like Shiro with just like all white hair. Like her hair is usually light blue to me, even like her figures and stuff. She looks like a hey, don't say that about her. She's perfect. She's amazing. Don't bully her. Okay, well, so this is another kind of urban legend. You can leave it in the shadows, or you can have your dreams. Very well then. We'll see the process by which urban legends form. In short, that they represent people's wishes, as explained earlier. For this world is chaos, without fate and full of only coincidence. unreasonable, absurd, devoid of meaning. And those who notice this but don't want to admit it wish that the world could be just a little cooler. And this is what is born from that earnest wish, an urban legend. So it's time. Let me make this uncool reality a little cooler for you. I offer you a new urban legend. And on that note, as a convention, a grace. I'd like to open as follows. Have you heard of a rumor that goes like this? They say that people who are just too good at games will one day get an email. This body contains some cryptic words and a URL inviting them to a certain game. And if you beat that game... ... Okay, I know, I can pretty much guarantee that I'm never going to get this email. I will never get this email ever in my life. So I will be stuck here on the human earth with all of you. Okay. Water break. Okay, I'm pooped. Gonna sleep. Hey, wait, if you go, who's gonna heal? You can do it, brother. Well, theoretically, yes. If, in addition to the 2 characters I'm controlling with my hand, I control the 2 characters you've abandoned with my feet. Hang in there. Wait, please, Shiro, I beg you. If you sleep now, everyone's gonna, well, I'm gonna die. Damn it, fine. I'll show you. By now, the sister had stacked up 5 empty noodle cups. In other words, this was the 5th day the siblings' banter had continued without sleep. As the sister laid her head on a console to sleep, ignoring her brother's desperate, resigned cry, a sound entered her ear. Bink! It was the tablet telling her they'd gotten an email. Your comment, pooped. That means she's tired, okay? She didn't poop. I'm sure you know that. Brother, mail. Your brother's busy playing 4 characters on 4 different screens. What do you expect him to do? Manipulating 4 mice dexterously with both hands and both feet. This was all the brother could say as he whirled around the controls for a party of 4 like a lone dervish. I don't know what a dervish is. Maybe that's like a creature or something. I mean, it's probably just spam. Forget it. Maybe it's from a friend? Of whose? Of yours? That's a good one. I do believe my beloved sister just fired off a crack that cuts to my very core. I hope you get why I didn't say of mine. Well, it's probably spam anyway. Wait, are you gonna sleep or not? If you're not gonna sleep, help me! Ah! I'm gonna die! I'm gonna die! The brother, Sora, to repeat, 18, unemployed, virgin, unpopular, socially incompetent, video game vegetable. Not that he was proud of it, but the idea that someone like him, who not only couldn't get a girlfriend but couldn't make a friend of any kind, could possibly have a friend category in his list of email senders was easily rejected. Evidently, this applied to his sister Shiro as well. What a pain. Still, Shiro mustered a consciousness that had been on the verge of sleep and rose. If it was just spam, then whatever. But if it was spam for a new game, well, that couldn't be missed. You could relate to him. I love Sora. If he was, well, I don't think I would be friends with him if he was real, but if he was like a nice person and he was real, I would be friends with him. But he has, like, you know, anime traits aside from those traits that make him unfriendable. Really, all those traits by themselves are fine. But I like him, so it's okay. I love Shiro too, but yeah, no. Let me see here. Still... Oh no, I already read that. Brother, where's the tablet? 3 o'clock, second pile, under the fourth porn game from the top. Ah, my feet are gonna cramp. Ignoring her brother's groans of suffering, Shiro followed his directions and fished through the pile and found it. Perhaps you ask why a pair of shut-in losers would need a tablet, she says. But that is a silly question. Of course, for games. On the other hand, there was another way that this pair was using said tablet. They had countless accounts and email addresses for their countless games. So while reserving their PCs mostly for gaming, they had the tablet set up to sync with over 30 email accounts just so they could check their email. You could call this efficiency first or just dumb. The author's so mean to them. I forgot he was so mean in the first book. That sound was bink. That's the notification for our third main address. This one, right? Displaying her monstrous memory, Shiro placidly dug through their email and, as in the background, her brother let out a whoop. Apparently having managed to emerge victorious in a real-time battle while controlling 4 characters all by himself, she read the email. Our new message. Or one new message. Subject, Dear Blank. Shiro tilted her head. It wasn't especially unusual for Blank, that is, Shiro and Sora, to receive an email. Especially for matches, requests for interviews, inflammatory challenges. There were plenty. But this? Brother. Whatever could it be? My beloved, sick, twisted sister who just claimed she was going to sleep to force her brother to play a game all by himself, bound by physical restrictions, who then didn't even go to sleep? This... As if she hadn't heard her brother's sarcasm, she showed him the email on the screen. Huh? The hell's this? Seeing the brother also recognized there was something special about this email. Save okay. Drops okay. He made sure his progress was saved successfully and then closed the window for the first time in 5 days. He opened the email client on the PC and he squinted. How do they know Blank are brother and sister? Indeed, the brother knew there were people online claiming Blank was more than one person. But that wasn't a problem. The body just contained this one sentence with the URL. Dear brother and sister, don't you ever feel you were born into the wrong world? The hell's this? I want a mysterious email. I want to go to another world, but not a game world. I want to go to an art world, where everything's decided from drawing. That would be my perfect world. The words were a little, no, extremely creepy. And the URL was unfamiliar. There was no country code like JP at the end. It was a URL of that sort that led to a specific page script, a direct link into a game. What do you want to do? The sister asked as if she didn't particularly care, but it was apparent that she too had taken interest in this email, whose sender seemed to know who they were. If she hadn't, she wouldn't just put her head, she would have just put her head back on the console and slept. She left the decision up to her brother because she recognized it as his area of expertise, that is. Do you want to be isekai to a world full of cute short stacks? Like pancakes? Pancake world? Is that what you mean? But I actually, Scribblenauts? I've never played Scribblenauts. I've heard of it. I think I have one, but I didn't, open it. So, maybe I will one day. Ooh, let's see, where am I at? Okay. Trying to play mind games? Oh well. It might be a bluff, but it might also be fun. He ran security software to check for malware and then clicked the link. But what appeared was unbelievably simple. An unadorned online chessboard. Good night. Hey, wait. This is a challenge to blank. If it's a high-level chess program, I can't beat it on my own. The brother stopped the sister, who seemed to have immediately lost interest and was trying again to go back to sleep. Chess? Give me a break. Yeah, I mean, I know how you feel. There was software that shut out a grandmaster at the top of the world chess. The sister had beaten it 20 times in a row, and this was a long time ago. It wasn't surprising she'd lost interest in the game, but blank can't lose. At least stay up until we can see how good they are. Fine. And so, Sora made his first move, and then his second. Shiro watched disinterestedly. Actually, more just sleepily. She watched heavily as if she were rowing a boat, but then, after 5 or 10 moves, Shiro's eyes, until then 80% closed, opened up and stared at the screen. Huh? What's he? Just as Sora began to feel uneasy, Shiro stood up and spoke. Brother, it's my turn. Brother handed over his seat obediently. This indicated that the sister had judged that the brother couldn't win. In other words, the opponent was worthy of playing the greatest chess player in the world. The sister proceeded with her moves. Water break. Baba. Chess is a finite, zero-sum, two-player game with perfect information. It's a game with no room for luck to intervene. In theory, an unbeatable strategy does exist, but only in theory. Only if one can grasp all of the vast number of possible games, 10 to the 120th power. Practically speaking, such a thing is impossible. But Shiro says it is not. He says with conviction that all you have to do is read all the 10th to the 120th power possibilities. And she did in fact beat the world's top chess program 20 times in a row. In chess, the person who goes first merely has to pick the best move to win, and the person who goes second can only draw. That's the theory anyway. She played this game against a program that explored 200 million possibilities in a second, and she won 20 times in a row, alternating who moved first, just to demonstrate the imperfection of the program. And yet, no way. She opened her eyes in surprise. Meanwhile, her brother was noticing something strange about the way things were going. Calm down. The player's human is the thing. Huh? A program always makes the best moves. It has unlimited concentration, but it can only move according to established strategies. That's why you can win. But this guy? The brother pointed to the screen. He's making a bad move on purpose to lure you in. You assume that it was the program's mistake, and that was your mistake. Ugh. The sister had no counter-argument for her brother. It was true that in chess, no, in almost any game, her technical skill vastly outmatched his. Truly, a genius gamer. However, in mind games, reading the opponent and manipulation, and all kinds of insight into that wild card of the opponent's emotions, the brothers' skills were superhuman. This was why blank, the combination of Sora and Shiro, was unbeaten. You said this has system vibes. Maybe. I feel like they're both as equally dependent on each other, so it's kind of hard to say. But I mean, she definitely does have a lot of influence over him for sure. And yeah, John Van Winkle, I really like that too. Like, that's really important for the whole series, is how much they need each other. And how much they rely on each other and use both their skills. Like, I've noticed in a lot of other shows and anime and stuff, it'll be like, the brother will be like the main character, and like one of them is kind of better than the other. But like in this, in No Game No Life, they feel equal. Like, you need both. You can't just have one, you know? Never met a pair that worked that good. Brothers and sisters are natural enemies. I don't know. I feel like it depends. The ages, you know? Like, I feel like, because I have a lot of brothers and sisters, and we get along dependent on where we are in our lives, because none of us are like the same age. Also, Sora and Shiro have like something crazy going on, so they're completely different. Anime brothers and sisters are built different. Yes. They are built different, and they they have different angles than us normal brothers and sisters. I'll just leave it at that. Okay. Let me find my spot. Don't worry, just calm down. If the opponent's not a program, then there's even less chance you could lose. Just don't let him rattle you. I'll explain his traps and strategies, so cool it. Okay, I'll try. And this was it. The mechanism behind a single gamer running away with the top global ranking for so many games. This game, played without time control, extended over 6 hours. The adrenaline and dopamine secreted by their brains made them forget they'd been up for 5 days straight. Swept away their fatigue and pulled their concentration up to its limits. 6 hours, yet the battle felt as if it actually took days. Finally, the decisive moment came. The emotionless voice echoing from the speaker. Checkmate. The siblings won. After a long silence, they exhaled all their breath. It spoke to a match such as to make them forget to breathe. When they were finally done, they laughed. Wow. It's been so long since I played a game this hard. It's the first time I've seen you think a game was hard. Wow, brother. Is the opponent really human? Yeah, there's no mistaking it. I could see him hesitating when you didn't take his bait, getting slightly confused when the traps he laid didn't go off. It's a human for sure. Either that, or a monster. I wonder what he's like. The sister, who had shut out a program that had shut out the Grandmasters, was becoming interested in an opponent. Well, could it actually be a Grandmaster? Programs are precise, but people are complex. I see. In that case, next I want to play Shogi with the Ryuo. I wonder if the Ryuo is open to playing online. Well, we'll give it some thought. As they conversed, grinning with the feeling of satisfaction produced by endorphins after a match, it happened again. Bink! The sound of another email notification. Must be our opponent just now? Come on, open it up. Okay. And as for the email's contents, just this. Marvelous. With skills like that, surely you must find it hard to live in this world. All it took was one line. Their psyches flash froze. The pair had just weathered a raging battle on the LED display. From behind them shone artificial light. The hum of the fans of computers and game equipment. Countless wires wriggling across the floor. Scattered trash. Clothes strewn everywhere. A space hidden from the sense of time. Walled by the curtains that blocked out the sun. Isolated from the world. 16 tatami mats. 16 tatami mats worth of cramped space. This was all their world. All of it. Bitter memories rushed through their minds. The brother who had been born no good and was therefore too good at reading people's words and motives. The sister who had been born too smart, and because of that, and her pure white hair and red eyes, had no one who understood her. The siblings who had been abandoned, even by their parents, and left alone in this world, and who finally closed their hearts to a past that not even the most generous oh my god, I can't say the word. Most generous interpretation could recall as happy. No, to a present as well. The sister looked down in silence. The brother pounded his anger onto the keyboard at the one who had made his sister look down. Thanks for your goddamn concern. Who the hell are you? The reply came almost immediately. Or was it even a reply? An email ignoring the question name. Oh, question came. What do you think of this world? Is it fun? Is it easy to live in? Reading this, he forgot even to be angry and met eyes with his sister. There was nothing they needed to confirm. They knew the answer. That it was the most fail kind of game ever. Ah, this Earth is a fail game. Wow. She sounds albino. Yeah, I wondered about that. Like, I wasn't sure if she's supposed to be, like, in a bunny kind of way. Or if it's just anime girl specialness. I don't know. But that's definitely a possibility. Let's see. A stupid game with no clear rules or goal. 7 billion players, all taking their turns whenever they wanted to. Penalized if you won too much. The sister who, thanks to being too smart, was alone and bullied with no one to understand her. Penalized if you lost too much. The brother who kept failing and getting yelled at by his teachers and parents, yet kept smiling. No right to pass. The bullying only got worse if she was silent. If she spoke too much, she'd be hated for crossing a line. And he'd be hated for seeing through to people's true motives. There was no way to tell the goal, read the stats, or even identify the genre. Even if you followed the rules that were laid out, you'd be punished. And worst of all, those who just ignore the rules stood at the top. Compared to this awful life, any other game was just too easy. So depressing. Ah, asshole. Sora patted the head of his young sister who was still looking down. The pair who had just displayed their godlike performance were nowhere to be found. The two that were left were downcast, downtrodden, some of the lowest weaklings in society. Nowhere to go, cast out by the world, nothing more. The irritation brought the fatigue back in a rush. As the brother moved the cursor to the start button to turn off the computer for the first time in a while, he heard, bink! Another email notification entering his ear. His hand proceeded to the shutdown regardless, but his sister stopped him. What if there was a world where everything was decided by simple game? The two read this suspiciously, but with imagination and longing they couldn't conceal. What if there was a world on a board where the goal and rules were clear? What would you think? They looked back at each other, grinned in self-deprecation, and nodded. The brother put his hands on the keyboard, so that's where he was going with this. Yeah, if there's a world like that, we really were born in the wrong one. He echoed the words of the initial email and hit send. For a moment. Faint static rippled across the computer screen. At the same time, everything in the room halted with a thump, as if the breaker had been tripped. All except one thing. The screen that showed the email. And... What? There was a sound as if the house was creaking. A sound like the crackle of electricity. The brother looked around in a panic as the sister spaced out, clueless as to what was happening. The static grew inexorably stronger and finally took over like the snow on an untuned TV. And then from the speakers, no, unmistakably from the screen. This time it wasn't text, a voice came back. I agree, you certainly were born in the wrong world. Not only the screen, but now the whole room was taken over by static. Suddenly, white arms extended from the screen's surface. What? Ah! The lens reached out from the screen and grabbed the siblings' arms. They were pulled in with a force that was too strong to fight. Into the screen. Then I'll let you be born again, into the world you should have been. And then, everything turned white. It was because he'd opened his eyes. It was the light of the sun. He knew this by the burning sensation on his retinas that he hadn't felt in a long time. Finally, the brother realized something from the sight that entered his pupils as they started to adjust to the light. He was in the sky? What? His cramped little room had become, all of a sudden, a wide and sweeping vista. But his scream was not because of the strangeness of the landscape that entered his eyes. Sora's brain was accelerating to grasp the situation, almost enough to fry his mental circuits, and that's why he was screaming. What? What the hell? No matter how you looked at it, no matter how many times, there in the sky was a floating island. No matter how many times he second-guessed his eyes and head, out at the limits of his vision, flying through the sky, was a dragon. The giant chess pieces visible deep in the mountains beyond the horizon were huge enough to confuse his sense of perspective. It belonged in a game, a fantasy landscape. This was clearly not a landscape from the Earth he knew. But most importantly, from the clouds sweeping out from under his eyes, he realized that the feeling of weightlessness was because he was falling, and that they were unmistakably in the middle of a skydive with no parachute. Taking all this in and turning his shriek to, "Oh, I'm about to die." Levels of conviction took the brother all of 3 seconds, but then his tragic conviction was broken by a voice ringing out resoundingly beside him. "Welcome to my world!" Before the grand and strange landscape, a falling boy spread his arms wide and beamed. "This is the utopia you've dreamed of, Disboard. The world on a board. A world where everything is decided by simple games. That's right, even people's lives and countries' borders." She was maybe 10 seconds behind Sora. Shiro, seeming to have finally grasped the situation, opened her eyes and grabbed onto her brother, looking as if she was about to cry. Who are you?" Shiro raised a cry of protest with all her strength, yet as if whispering. But the boy went on smiling happily and said, "Me? Well, I live over there." As he said it, he pointed to a giant chess piece beyond the horizon, such as Sora had seen. "I suppose if I were to put it in terms of your world, well, I'm God, I guess." I love him so much. The self-proclaimed God said this with a deliberate cuteness, sticking an index finger to his cheek. But what difference did it make now? Whatever. Hey, what are we supposed to do? The ground's coming! Ah, Shiro! And then the scream. I'm not gonna do a scream. Drawing Shiro's hands to his chest, Sora put himself between her, though the gesture was questionably meaningful. Shiro shrieked into Sora's body with a muted cry. Meanwhile, the boy who claimed to be a god told them jauntily, "I hope to see you again. Probably not too long in the future." With that, the pair's consciousness faded. Okay, I want to show you what he looks like real quick. Hold on. Let me show you him. Okay, no lie. Cause he is so cute. Let me find a good picture. I guess that one's fine. Okay. Let me find a good picture. I'll just swap out this one. His name is Tet, by the way. I don't know when they say it, but it doesn't matter. Look at him. Oh. He's big. Look at him! Isn't he the cutest? That's God in this world. He's a little boy. Look at his legs. Look at his shorts. He's adorable. I love his little heart cheek and his eyes. Okay, that's my detour. Okay, get out the way, Tet. Out of here. Okay. Where was I? Where was I? Over here. Ugh. The feeling of soil, the scent of flowers. When he came to, Sora was lying on the ground. He groaned and got up. What just happened? A dream? Sora thought so, but he didn't say it. What a weird dream. Sora's sister woke up after him and groaned. Aw, sister. After I made a point of not saying it too. You didn't have to go and set the "it wasn't a dream" flag. With these thoughts, he stood up, and no matter how he tried to pretend he didn't notice, there was soil under his feet. An unfamiliar sky soared overhead, and Sora realized he was standing on the edge of a cliff and stepped back in a panic. Looking over the panorama from the cliff, he saw an unbelievable landscape spreading out before them. No, that's not it. Let me rephrase that. There was an island in the sky. A dragon. A giant chess piece beyond the mountains on the horizon. So, it was the same weird landscape they had seen while falling. So it wasn't a dream. Hey, little sister. The siblings spoke as they looked out with vacant eyes. I've often thought that life was... Thank you for subscribing, Kao Shinji. Thank you. You're the first subscriber ever. You get the special title of the first one. I'm gonna make a tweet about you. So prepare to be tweeted about. Thank you. Okay. Oh, you get a little first button. That is so cute. A little first button. I lost my place. Oh. I've often thought that life was an impossible game. A game for masochists. But this? Yeah. They spoke in unison. It's finally glitched out. What the hell? This game is epic fail. This game sucks. It's epic fail. It's so, what do the kids say? Unpoggers. Is unpoggers something? I know poggers is. Do people say unpoggers? They should. And then they lost consciousness once more. Have you heard a rumor that goes like this? They say that people who are just too good at games will one day get an email. The body contains just a few words and a URL. And if you click the link, a certain game will start. If you beat the game, they say you disappear from this world, and then there's an urban legend that says you'll be invited to another world. Do you believe it? Kipoggers, God forgive me for what I will do. Kipoggers is funny. I need to make emotes, so don't give me cursed ideas, okay? Chapter 1! Okay. How long have I been reading? Oh, okay, I still have time. How long is chapter 1? Let me see. I want to finish, like, I don't want to stop in the middle of a chapter, so let me see. Let's see. Let me check. Okay. Okay, I will read. Oh no. Why is it 0? Oh no. Oh no. Can you see me? I disconnected for a second. Let me know when you can see me, everybody. Okay. I will read chapter 1. If you connected, say Cheese Louise. Cheese Louise! Emote ideas for 2 cursed street die. Keep poggers. I'm saving that in my memory bank. Okay, let's read chapter 1. And then that'll be as far as we go. Cheese to meet you. No! That little mouse. Gosh. There are so many funny things online. I love it. Okay, let's go. Chapter 1. Beginner. Once upon a time, there was still... Okay, start over. Chapter 1. Beginner. Once upon a time, there was a time still longer ago, where the old Deuce race fought with their relations and creation for the title of one true god. With that, the battle continued so long as to make one faint. There was no ground not stained by blood, no sky not filled by screams. All thinking things hated each other, and to destroy their enemies they murdered and slaughtered without mercy. Elves mobilized from their little villages, honing their magic, hunting their foes. Dragonias followed their instincts, giving themselves over to butchery. And werebeasts devoured their prey like animals. The earth was laid to waste and swallowed in dusk, and yet still fell deeper into the darkness of the War of the Gods. The devil emerged as a mutation of the phantasma, and monsters of the devil's breed swarmed across the land. Sounds terrible. Sounds awful. In this world, royal houses, their many beauties, and most of all their heroes, these did not exist. Humanity was of no consequence. The people built nations, formed cabals, staking everything merely to survive. There are still no heroic tales for the bard to sing. So blood-drenched was this time. Long before this land and sea and sky came to be called Disboard. But even upon this chaos of war that was thought to be never-ending, the curtain dropped. The land, the sea, the sky, the planet itself, everything was haggard, worn out, exhausted, and the struggle towards mutual destruction could not be sustained any further. And thus, the deity who had the most strength left came to sit upon the throne of the one true god. A god who had never once intervened in the war. A god who had stayed only an observer. This deity who sat on the throne of the one true god looked around at the state of the world, and he spoke to all things that wandered its surface. He said, "Sounds like your kind of party." No! It's a terrible party. Violence is wrong. Unless it's self-defense. Anyway. O ye who expend your might and force in arms of mortality, building a tower of the dead and yet call yourselves wise, prove me this. What shall set you apart from the witless beast? Every race spoke up to prove its own wisdom, but every word rang hollow before the wasted world. In the end, not a creature could give the god a response that answered. The god spoke. On this heaven and earth, all bodily injury and plunder shall be forbidden. His words became a covenant, an absolute and immutable rule of the world. And thus, from that day, combat vanished from this world. But each of the thinking things spoke up to God, that though combat vanished, conflict still remained. And so the god said, "Very well. O 16 seeds that claim yourselves O 16 seeds that claim yourselves wide, ye X-seeds. Expend ye your reason and wit and talent and wealth, building a tower of wisdom to prove yourselves wise." The god threw... Why am I messing up so much? Why? Water break. Why? 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 The god drew. Oh my god. Okay. The god drew out 16 playing pieces and smiled mischievously, and thus were born the 10 covenants, and thus ended the world of war. So it came to pass that all quarrels should be settled by games. The new one true god had a name, Tet, he who was once known as the god of play. Tet's the best. Where is he? Tet's the best. Okay. On the continent of Lucia in the kingdom of Elkia, the capital, Elkia, the continent that swept northeast with its equator at the south, and there was a small city and a small country at the western tip. No trace was left of the age of myth, when the kingdom had reigned over half the continent. Now all that was left was one last city, the capital, a tiny city-state. To be more exact, it was the last bastion of humanity. In the city, just beyond the downtown area in the suburbs, there was a single building that housed a tavern and an inn of just the sort that might show up in an RPG. 2 girls sat on opposite sides of the table, surrounded by spectators, playing a game. One was a redhead who looked to be in her mid-teens, her manner and accoutrement suggesting high breeding, and the other... She was probably around the same age as the redhead, though her mien? I don't know that word. Her mien and attire suggested someone quite a bit older. This black-haired girl was wrapped in a black veil and cape as if for a funeral, and the game they were playing appeared to be poker. Their expressions contrasted sharply. The redhead was a mask of seriousness, perhaps for intention. Meanwhile, the black-haired girl seemed unconcerned, with a dead, expressionless face. The reason was clear to see. Piled high in front of the black-haired girl and low in front of the redhead, coins. The obvious interpretation was that the redhead was losing hopelessly. Can you hurry up? Quiet, you. I'm thinking, don't you see? In the tavern, the crowd jeered crudely, already intoxicated despite the early hour. The redhead's brow knit further in frustration. In any case, it seemed that some excitement was being had. Outside the tavern, where the game was being held, a young girl wearing a hood sat at the table on a terrace and peered in through the window. Some excitement. What's this? Huh? Don't you know? Are you folks from another country? Wait, there are no other human countries. At the table next to the girl peering through the window sat another pair, who sat around a table playing a game. A young man wearing a hood like the young girls, and a middle-aged man with facial hair and a beer belly. The young man answered, "Oh, you know, we came from way out in the sticks. We don't really know much about what's been going on in the city." As it happened, the game they were playing was the same as the one inside, poker, but they were using bottle caps. The middle-aged man replied dubiously to the youth, "You're saying there is countryside left in the territory humanity still owns? You must be some kind of hermit." Something like that. So what's all this about? The youth dodged the topic and drew an answer from the fuzzy man. Right now, Elkia is having a grand gambling tournament to decide the next monarch. While still watching what was happening inside, the hooded girl questioned further. To decide the next monarch? Indeed, according to the will of the late king. The crown of the next monarch we bequeath not upon our royal bloodline, but upon the greatest gambler among humans. The fuzzy man spoke on while stacking his bottle caps. You know, humanity lost everything in the play for Dominion, and now all that's left is Elkia. And Elkia has nothing left but her capital, so it's too late to worry about appearances. Play for Dominion, huh? Dominion. Play for Dominion, eh? Interesting stuff you got going on here. So said the hooded young man. Following the hooded girl's lead, the young man took an interest in the proceedings in the tavern, peering in. So, what? Are those girls eligible to be the future queen? I'm not sure eligible is the right word. Anyone of humanity may enter. But he added as he turned his gaze into the tavern. And there they are! The one at the bottom is Steph. And the one at the top is the other girl. I forgot her name. Well, I don't think you learned her name yet anyway. So it should be fine. It should be fine. Okay. Next. They were playing poker. Yes, Steph. They were playing poker. Didn't she know the term poker face? With a glance at the redhead, who was glaring at her hand as if she would groan audibly any second, the man spoke. The redhead is Stephanie Dola. She's part of the bloodline of the former king. The way the will is written, if someone not of royal blood takes the crown, she'll lose everything, so she's aiming to put herself on the throne. After that king brought us humans to such ruin, that his family should struggle so hard? The man added this and sighed. It was a blunt explanation of the excitement inside. A play for Dominion? Even national borders are decided by games, huh? Oh, hello. Hello, tiny Saflala. Well, VR chat is fun though, so I understand. You missed when I said Oni-chan. Though I guess I said it now too. Oni-chan. Hello. Hello. Okay. Let me find my place again. Where was I? Oh, okay. The hooded girl and young man muttered their thoughts to each other. The girl impressed, the young man amused. So, that's how it is. It's a free-for-all gambling tournament. Free-for-all? Basically, any member of humanity who wishes to stand for the crown may speak up and challenge his rivals to a game. By any means he sees fit. He who loses shall be stripped of his right, and he who stands left at the end shall be king. Well, where am I? I burped. I burp. Well, these rules were easy enough to understand. Excellent. Still, the hooded young man asked doubtfully, sounds pretty casual. Is that really going to work? It is, after all, a play for Dominion under the 10 Covenants, which promise that each may wager whatever each agrees is of equal value, playing according to any rules. Anyone may contest anyone at anything at any time. No, well, that's not exactly what I meant. As the hooded young man muttered suggestively, he peered once more into the tavern. No wonder she's losing, the girl muttered to him. Yeah, no kidding. As the two conversed, the young man drew a rectangular object from his pocket. He faced it towards the inside of the tavern and manipulated something, and there was a sound. Snap. Sounds like Battle Royale. Poker? Yeah. I wonder if that's like a Steam game or something yet. But yeah, get a blanket. Get comfy. I have a blanket in my lap. It's not this one, but it's similar. It's pink. It's Hello Kitty, actually. Let's see. Okay, let's see. The middle-aged man grinned. So, lad, should you really be worrying about other people's battles? With that, the man opened his hand flat. Full house, sorry about that. Next. Sure of his victory and thinking of what would come after, the man's lips curled in a filthy smile. But the hooded youth replied as if he was never interested from the start, as if he'd just now remembered that he was playing a game of poker. Huh? Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Oh, sorry, that's right. As a youth... The second one! Thank you, Chrysalis. Thank you so much. I really gotta, add some cool things for you guys. I will do it. Thank you for supporting me. Okay. Let me see. Oh. As the youth carelessly opened his hand, the middle-aged man's eyes opened wide. A royal flush? The youth had been holding the strongest hand in the game without so much as a peep. The young man stood— oh, not the young man. The man stood up and shouted. You think you could pull one over on me? What? Come on, don't be rude. What basis do you have for saying that? The youth blithely slid out his chair and stood up. The man pressed further. The odds of a royal flush are 1 in 650,000, I guess. How could that happen? It just happened to be that chance today. Bad luck, old man. The youth slipped out the words and held out his hand. Now, may I accept the promised wager? Damn it. Clucking, the man held out his purse and then another pouch. The 6 of the 10 covenants. Wagers sworn by the covenants are absolutely binding. Fine. Good game. Thanks, Pop. As the hooded young man calmly left his chair and the girl nodded her head and chased after him, the bearded man watched them go into the tavern, and an apparent friend of his approached him. Oh, I was watching the whole time, but did you really bet everything you had on you? Ah, mercy me, how will I pay the bills? But wait, back up. You bet the money you needed for bills? What the hell kind of wager did your opponent make? The fuzzy man sighed and answered with a look of disinterest that, I could do whatever I wanted with them. What? I did think it sounded too good to be true, but they seemed unworldly. This guy's a weirdo. Why would he accept that? He's a weirdo. And I thought it might— what? No, I mean, which are you? Come again? Are you, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that. Are you, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I'm gonna skip. Are you a bleep or a bloop? Either one is— well— what? Hey, wait! Oh, relax. I won't tell your wife. Just buy me a meal. It's not like that. And anyway, I just lost all the money I had. And to begin with— brother, that's not fair. Huh? What's your problem? You intentionally cheated in such an obvious way. You'll never understand how people can play poker. Yeah, I don't know how poker works. One time I had a friend try and teach me, but I didn't get it like at all. And he was like, do you understand? And I was like, yeah. And then we played and I won, but I don't remember how. And then I was like, I'm not gonna play anymore. So I was like, I took my win and I'm gonna get out now while I'm ahead. And yeah, that's my experience with poker. I've never played Yahtzee either, so I can play like Uno and Goldfish or Goldfish. Whichever one it is. When I was little, I didn't know if it was Go Fish or Goldfish. Is it Go Fish or Goldfish? I genuinely don't know now that I'm saying it out loud. Oh well. It's Go Fish? Okay. I was like, it's a fish, but I thought it was Goldfish because that's a real thing. You want to learn how to play chess. I think chess is outside of my brain capacity, so I've come to terms with that. I'll just enjoy chess through no gain, no life, pretty much. Okay, where was I at? Yes, just as the man had said, a royal flush was a hand that could hardly ever happen. Laying out a hand like that was tantamount to declaring that you had cheated. But the 8th of the 10 covenants, if cheating is discovered in a game, it shall be counted as a loss. The young man mumbled the rules of this world he had just learned as if to confirm them. In other words, as long as it's not discovered, you can cheat. Isn't that great that we confirmed this? Suggesting that he was just trying it out as a casual experiment, he stretched. Well, now we've got some war funds. Brother, do you understand the money here? How am I supposed to understand it? But don't worry, this is what your brother does best. They talked so as to not be heard by the bearded man and his apparent friend. Then they entered the tavern inn. Water break. Blah, blah, blah. Ignoring the table at the center where the crowd still hooted over the match, they approached the counter. The hooded young man dropped the pouch and purse with a thud on the counter and asked slowly. So, 2 people, 1 room, 1 bed is fine. How many nights can we stay? The man, who appeared to be the master, a glance, a moment's hesitation, and then, that'll be 1 night with board. But the hooded young man responded coyly, smiling, except with his eyes. Look here, mister. We've been awake for 5 days, and we're dead on our feet from walking way more than usual. We're exhausted, you know? Can you cut to the chase and tell us how many nights really... What? I mean, if you want to try and swindle people you think are just bumpkins who don't know the value of money here, that's up to you. But let me just give you a tip. When you're lying, you should watch the direction you look and the tone of your voice, okay? Sharpening his gaze to see through everything, the young man spoke with a smile. With a line of cold sweat and a cluck, the master answered, "It's 2 nights. And there you go again. Let's split the difference and say 10 nights with 3 meals. What difference are you splitting? Fine. 3 nights with board, it's true. Oh, is that so? Then give us a discount and make it 5 nights with board. What? Come on, you can treat us with some of that money you're embezzling as you rip off customers, right? What? Wait, how? And you're the master of the tavern, not the inn, right? I'll be happy to rat you out." The young man smiled wanly, but played dirty. The master strained his face and answered, "You've got an innocent face but a dirty disposition, kid. Fine. 4 nights with 3 meals. How's that?" "Great. It's been a pleasure." The young man smiled and took the room key. And there they go. They got a crappy inn room. Probably dusty and full of spiders. You go up to the 3rd floor, all the way back. It's on your left. What's your name? Looking in a sour mood, the master took out the register. The hooded young man answered, Just leave it blank." Sora spun the key he received around his finger. He thumped his hand onto the back of his sister, who was watching the table where the match excitement was happening. "Hey, I got 4 nights. Sing praises upon your brother and his... what's up?" Shiro was staring at Steffa, whatever her name was, the redhead that the bearded man had been talking about. She was still suffering, and still showing it clearly on her face. So much so that it was hard to imagine she might still think she could win. That one's gonna lose. Well, yeah, so? If she showed her emotions on her face so obviously, there was no way she could win regardless of her draw. Perhaps the bearded man was right when he suggested that the blood of the royal family was stupid. As Sora pondered this, he realized. Oh. He realized the true meaning of his sister's words and opened his mouth. "Oh, I get it. That's scary." Sora murmured and Shiro nodded, looking at the black-haired girl. "Now this world's cheats are amazing. I don't want to go up against that." "They put you to shame, brother." Sora, apparently irked by these words, argued defensively. Don't be stupid. It's not how great your cheats are, it's how you use them. Brother, can you beat that? I guess this really is a fantasy world. It doesn't quite click. I mean, it kind of feels too natural. Maybe I really have played too many games. Not bothering to answer his sister's question, Sora was already walking up to the 3rd floor. Dumb question. Never mind. This was Shiro's apology. That's right. For Blank, loss was inconceivable. And on their way, they passed, what's her name? The redhead. On a whim, Sora whispered, "Ma'am, you know you're being hoodwinked, right?" Huh? She was stunned. Her blue eyes went around, contrasting with her red hair. Having had their say, Sora and Shiro went up to the 3rd floor, feeling the dumbfounded gaze of the girl on their back. Even so, they left it at that, proceeding to their room without looking back. He said, "Are we equating cheats to ahem?" What's your ahem? What's your ahem? Cheats and like magic cheats, like well, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, turning the key and hearing the creaking of the shaky fittings, they looked beyond the open door. The room inside was a cheap-looking wooden room like the ones they'd seen in Oblivion and Skyrim. The floor squeaked with footsteps, and the room was small. In the corner was a sad excuse for a table and with seating. Otherwise, there was a bed and a window. That summed up the most basic of interiors. Oh, thank you! Thank you for the bit, you said. Kipa, your model is so cute. Aw, thank you! I'm glad you think I'm cute. And my sweater. I wore my sweater this time because I thought it would be extra cozy. And I didn't want to look naked behind the blanket in the book. I don't want to get in trouble. Hat pat. Thank you! My voice is getting kind of scratchy now. I get sore throats really easily, so... hopefully I don't, but I'm drinking a lot, so maybe I'll be okay tomorrow. Okay, where was I at? They entered the room, locked the door, and finally took off their hoods. The young man in just a t-shirt with jeans and sneakers with messy black hair, Sora. The small girl in a sailor suit with red eyes hidden by long, frizzy, pure white hair, Shiro. Throwing off the robe he'd borrowed so as to not stand out, his appearance being rather unfamiliar to this world, Sora flopped down on the lone bed as if deeply relieved. He took his phone out of his pocket and put a check mark in his task scheduler. Objective. Find lodging. Achieved. That's that. I can say it now, right? I think so. After checking the item off, he uttered from the very bottom of his heart a single statement. Ah, so tired. And how he'd sworn he wouldn't say it until that moment. But now that he said the words and the dam was broken, Sora's grousing started flooding out unstoppably. I can't believe this shit. Not only did we have to go outside, we had to walk, like, forever. Shiro followed his lead and finally taking off her robe. She patted out the wrinkles on her sailor suit. She opened the window and looked out. From the open window, she could see the cliff where they had been, far in the distance. This is how I feel when you get back to the hotel on a vacation. I'm not used to walking that much either in a day. I always plop to the ground when we get back, and I'm like, no more. Let's go home. No more vacation. But then after I sleep, I'm ready to go. It's short-lived. Okay. People can accomplish great things when they want to. Yeah, you can't do anything if you don't feel like it. That's a great way of expressing our reality. This was a rather negative interpretation, but his sister nodded in assent. But man, I totally thought my legs had atrophied by now. I'm surprised I could walk that far. 'Cause you were using mice with your feet? Oh yeah! It's really true that skills are transferable. They're so dumb. Never thought they'd be transferred this way. Their comedy routine seemed to be approaching its limits. Shiro's eyes started to close more than halfway. The sister wobbled dizzily down onto the bed onto which Sora had collapsed. She didn't express it on her face, but the pain of her fatigue was clear from her breathing. Well, that was hardly surprising. She may have been a genius girl, but she was still a lass of only 11. After 5 days without sleep, she'd played the chess match, had gone on a lengthy forced march interrupted only by spots of unconsciousness. She traveled a distance even Sora found grueling, albeit on Sora's back towards the end, without a word of complaint. And that much was worthy of wonder. For that reason itself, Sora had sworn to himself that he wouldn't complain until now. Good job. You're such a good little girl, my sister. Your brother's very proud of you. He stroked her hair as if to comb it. We got a place to sleep. Yeah, when we were attacked by those bandits, I really didn't know what would happen. Sora thought back to a few hours earlier. In other words, when they first found themselves stranded in this world. Oop. Well, then, what shall we do? Sora spoke, and Shiro shook her head. They'd come back from their second spell of unconsciousness. Sora had shouted and ranted about the absurdity of life. Shiro had spaced fully out, sigh after sigh escaping her lips. Seeming to finally grow weary of this, they regained their composure in the midst of their fatigue. They moved away from the cliff and sat down beside a simple road that hadn't even been paved. Brother, why here? You know, in RPGs they always have these big roads where people pass by. It was questionable how far his knowledge from games would apply, but anyway. So this is where we check what we have. You said 5 days without sleep. Those are rookie numbers. You don't need to stay up for 5 days. Please tell me that's a joke. Please, don't make me concerned. Go to sleep, okay? I don't think I've stayed up for 24 hours. Like once in my entire life. Genuinely. I need my sleep. I need my sleep. Sora had a feeling that was always what they did in survival stories. With only that wisdom, they took out their items from their pockets one after another. What came out? 2 smartphones, Sora and Shiro's. 2 DSP handheld game consoles. 2 modular spare batteries. 2 solar chargers. 2 multi-charger cables. And the tablet Shiro had ended up carrying along with her. You said I should try staying up 24 hours? I don't want to. I want to go to sleep. I like dreaming, and I like laying in my bed. And I don't like being sleepy. Well, I don't know how long you said 5 days is near fatal. I don't know how long you can stay awake, because I've had friends that had like really bad insomnia and would stay up for days and days. So like, I've actually had friends like that who are like, it's been 3 days, I didn't get any sleep. And I'm like, please. Please, why are you here? Go home. You rarely dream. I get a dream every night, and I remember them all the way. Cause I'm, well, I don't know if that's weird or not. I can remember them all clearly, like memories and stuff. So, Yeah. Where am I at? It was a wealth of equipment, not at all befitting castaways. However, it was all for games. They carried it with them at all times, in the bathroom, in the bath, such that even in a blackout they'd never be without games. Truth be told, it was questionable whether this kind of wealth would help in a real survival scenario. I guess there wouldn't be any signal in a fantasy world. Sora looked at his phone. It said there was no service. On the other hand, the backlight would serve as a flashlight at night, and it could take photos and videos. Maps obviously didn't work, but he could use it as a compass. Feeling gratitude for the sophistication of modern phones, Sora spoke. Alright, let's turn off your phone and the tablet and charge them up with the solar charger while the sun is out. I have a bunch of ebooks on the tablet I downloaded to study for quiz games. In the worst case scenario, we might need a survival manual. Roger. She obediently turned them off and connected them to the solar charger. Shiro had learned from experience that it was best to follow her brother's instructions when in an unforeseen situation. He said, "You're always sleepy. You could sleep for 10 hours and still be tired." Well, sometimes if you sleep for too long though, you don't feel refreshed when you wake up. Like one time I slept for like 16 hours and I felt like a sea slug when I woke up. I was a sea slug. Oh, and you said, insomnia is not fun, but the small tubers have helped to keep the boring nights and days more fun. Aww. Well, I'm glad that, you know, it's nice. Like, I like listening to streams too when I'm doing stuff at night because it makes me feel like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, even if I don't watch them live, I like listening to them just to hear other people's voices and stuff because it's just like comfy. How do sea slugs feel? The sea slugs are like blah, blah, blah. That's what a sea slug is like. It just makes you feel like that. And you're like crawling on the ground and you're like, whoa. Like that. So there you go. Okay, so it was possible to use the power of science, Sora's phone, to find which way was north. But still, it was just as if they had been cast out on the wide blue sea with no maps and only a compass. With the fruits of cutting-edge technology in hand, they sat on the wayside, lost in life. Hey, there were a few people walking down the road. Oh, hey, sweet! It's time for my RPG experience to shine. Brother, they look, weird. And the group that had shown up suddenly picked up speed and spread to surround them. Their green garb, their shoes that looked easy to run in. Oh god, they're bandits. Sora looked up at the sky and said this without thinking. That the very first people they should encounter on the road should be, "Hello, we are bandits from a fantasy world." Just as if straight from a template, this mean-looking bunch, Sora was just about ready to curse the heavens in earnest. Feeling danger to their person, Sora physically guarded Shiro. But what the bandits said, "Hehehe, if you want to pass, play a game with us." The siblings could only look at each other, but oh yeah, that kid said everything's decided by games in this world. This is what bandits are like here? They immediately got the picture. Compared to robbers in their own world, this looked so heartwarming, so cute even. They couldn't help but laugh. "What are you sniggering about, you whelps? If you don't play our game, you ain't going a step further," the bandit shouted, not comprehending why they were being laughed at. Regardless, the siblings conspired with each other and voices just too low for the bandits to hear. So they gang up on one person, cheat, and take everything they have, yeah? Sounds perfect. Having talked it over, sober. Jesus. Let me recalibrate. Water. Kipa ASMR. I don't have that fancy ASMR microphone though. Like every time I see an ASMR video, they have like that weird microphone with the ear on it. It's kind of creepy, but I guess that's what you'd use. And I don't know what I would even do. Well, I'd just be like, bottle ASMR. Bottle. Sea slug. Cat ASMR. Meow. 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 There you go. Or do like a I was making this joke with my friend because he was like, they do ASMR that are like scenarios, and I was like, but most of the scenarios I see are like, they're like the person making the video is cleaning your ears, or they're like making you something, or they're like motherly. But I'm like, my ASMR would be like, you come home and your sister asks you to make her a grilled cheese sandwich, and then the whole video is just me sitting there waiting for you to make it. I can't do the scenarios. Or I'll be like, your little sister comes, sits in your room and draws in the corner while you do your homework. That's the ASMR. Okay, let's see. Oh. Having talked it over, Sora clapped his hands twice. Okay, that's fine. We'll play you. But I regret to inform you, we haven't got shit. No matter, lad. We'll just... But Sora went on, interrupting the bandit. If we lose, do anything you want with us. Sell us off somewhere, or whatever. Huh? The bandit squinted at this proposal, stealing a march on what he was going to say. In exchange, if we win, with a spine-chilling smile across his face, the brother continued, show us the way to the nearest city. Oh, and give us those robes you two are wearing. I mean, you know how the people from another world always stand out with their weird clothes. Oh, and tell us about this world's game rules. Showing the adaptability of his brain to all games, he rattled off requests as if he already knew he would win. Bringing his thoughts back to the present, Sora murmured, 10 covenants. Shiro, have you got them down? Interesting, rules. His sister answered drowsily as if about to fall asleep. Once they've been soundly beaten, the bandits had explained the rules of this world. He took out his phone where he had jotted them down and read them over. The 10 covenants. Apparently, they were the absolute rules set by the god of this world. The sister had memorized them easily, it seemed, but what the brother had on his phone was this. 1. In this world, all bodily injury, war, and plunder is forbidden. 2. All conflicts shall be settled by victory and defeat in games. 3. Games shall be played for wagers that each agrees are of equal value. 4. Insofar that it does not conflict with 3, any game or wager is permitted. 5. The party challenged shall have the right to determine the game. 6. Wagers sworn by the covenants are absolutely binding. 7. For conflicts between groups, an agent... Oh, Jesus. An agent plenipotent shall be established. 8. If cheating is discovered in a game, it shall be counted as a loss. 9. The above shall be absolute and immutable rules in the name of the god. And 10. Let's all have fun together. Aww. It sounds like it's ending with the above at 9, but then there's 10. It seems as if it were saying that having fun together was not mandatory. Yeah, that word, I've only ever seen it in this series. And I used to read a lot as a kid, so I was like, whoa. I don't know what that is. Oh, I don't know what that is. Okay, it seemed as if it were saying that having fun together is not mandatory. Or maybe it was something more like, not that I think you bozos are capable of having fun together. These ironic rules recalled the face of the god or whatever, who looked like he was having fun at least. The kid who pulled us into this world, if that's God, well, he's not a bad guy. The brother put away his phone and smirked to himself as he lay on the bed and thought. It seemed that the fatigue finally caught up to him as his consciousness clouded and his thoughts began to diffuse. Getting sleepy. Guess it's only natural when you think about it. After staying up for 5 days, suddenly there's this. Besides the mumbling brother, his sister held on to his arm, her breath already indicating she was asleep. When she lay down and her bangs fell from her face, it revealed skin white as porcelain, a face composed like a work of art. It seemed like a bad joke that they were siblings. She was like a doll. I'm always telling you, you should at least put on a blanket. You'll catch a cold. To the brother who spoke to her, the sister asked for a blanket with her vacant response. He hesitated to put the dusty-smelling blanket over his sister, but it was probably better than nothing. Watching the sleeping face of his sister as he heard the sound of her breath, the brother thought, now, what are we gonna do about this? So Sora took out his phone and started fiddling with it. He looked to see if he had any apps that might be of use, and then it occurred to him. You always wondered what the god would do if there were actual conflicts? Well, they still have, like, issues. They just can't fight physically. Like, I think they're, like, physically incapable of being violent anymore. Because a lot of the characters, like, later on, clearly want to kill still, but they just can't. Like, physically, they're unable to. In stories about people drifting between worlds, they always worry first about how to get home. His parents were already gone. His sister wasn't accepted by society. He himself could never accept society. In that world, there was no place for him except in the screen. Hey, why is it that when the main character gets thrown into another world, they always try to go back to their own world? Knowing she was asleep, he went and tossed out the question anyway, but as expected, there was no answer. After their 4 nights here, what should they do next? He gave a shot thinking about it, but before he could reach a conclusion, sleep shut off his train of thought. That's one thing that I really like about this series, is I like that they are not constantly like, I gotta go back home. I gotta go home where everything sucks. I gotta go home where nobody liked me. It's like so many other Into a New World series are like that. It's like, why do you want to go back home? Why? This place is cooler. Every other place is cooler. Like, I feel like, oh well, I would be sad, I guess, because my family's not with me. But if my family came with me, like Sora with his sister, I'd be like, okay, we're staying here. Unsatisfied. Or like anime where they turn into something like a demon, or they get like a cool power and they're like, I want to be a human again. It's like, why? Why? What's wrong with you? You should be happy. You're cool now. Or is that mean for me to say? Humans are cool, I guess. For the most part. They're nice when they want to be. They're soft. That kind of thing. Knock knock. A gentle knock at the door was enough to wake him. Probably the jumpy nerves from arriving in this unfamiliar land. Shushing his body, screaming that it needed more sleep, Sora's brain spun up rapidly. This did not, however, seem to apply to his sister. She was still clutching her brother's right arm deep in sleep, dripping drool. This comforted him like nothing else, every bit the enviable young girl in the midst of her dream. That's right, come to think of it, in this world, bodily injury and plunder are impossible. In other words, things they normally have to watch out for didn't matter in this world. Perhaps grasping this? No, obviously he grasped it. Quickly adapting to this world, Sora smiled ruefully at the peaceful face of his sleeping sister. Man, I sure can't beat you in brains. Knock knock knock. Hearing the gentle sound again, Sora answered. Ah, right. Yes, who is it? My name is Stephanie Dola. Regarding the matter you spoke to me about during the day. Stephanie? Oh. He took out his phone and checked the photo he had taken. The classy-looking girl with red hair and blue eyes. That's right, at the tavern downstairs. The one who had been playing a game to be the new monarch or something. Ah, right. I'm coming. Sister. Your love makes me delighted to be your brother, but let go of my arm, please. I can't open the door. What? His sister, still looking more than half asleep, finally let go of his arm. Sora peeled his heavy body off the bed, squeaked across the wood floor, and opened the door. The expression he saw on the other side was quite different from the one in the photo on his phone. The Stephanie standing there before him looked crushed. May I enter? Sure. Come on in. Going with the flow, he decided to let Stephanie into the room. He offered her the little table and chair in the corner of the cramped room. Sora then sat on the bed with his sister, who was sitting there swaying to and fro. Still not quite awake, Stephanie was the one who spoke first. What is the meaning of this? Just to make it clear, we're siblings, alright? It's not like that. Oh, brother rejected me. And there she is asleep. Let me leave that up for a second. She was rejected. She's so cute. Sucking her thumb is so cute. Okay. Moving on now. Boop. Correction. His sister wasn't half asleep. She was 80% asleep, and she was leaning onto his back. He didn't know what the manners were like in this world, but he defended himself just in case. No, I didn't. Anyway, I'm Sora. I've never had a girlfriend in my life, and I'm not looking. Oh no, and I'm looking. That is of no concern to me. However, seeming to lack drive to engage in this matter, Stephanie continued weakly. What concerns me is what happened during the day. Day. What was she talking about? To begin with, what time was it? He didn't see any sunlight from the window, but glancing at his phone, he saw that 4 hours had gone by since he'd gone to sleep. No wonder he was tired. During the day, you told me as you passed by, you're being hoodwinked. While making sleepy noises, the sister still perhaps had heard them, for she said with her eyes closed. So, you lost? The sister's attitude seemed to strike a nerve. Why, yes, I lost. Now everything is over. As Stephanie stood up and cried out, Sora covered his ears. I'm sleep deprived and you're giving me a headache, so if you could please not shout so much. Stephanie slammed her bag onto the table in a blind rage, apparently having no ears for Sora's modest request. Her shriek rose further. If you knew she was cheating, then couldn't you at least have told me how she did it? If I showed everyone, I could have won. Remembering the notes he was looking through on his phone before sleeping, Sora said, The 8th of the 10 Covenants. If cheating is discovered in a game, it shall be counted as a loss. That one? So just knowing they were cheating wasn't enough. discovered. It meant you had to prove they were cheating for it to count as a loss. And now I've lost. Thanks to you, I've been eliminated from the running for the Monarch. In other words, Shiro gurgled out a sleepy comment. You lost, so you're pissed, and now you're taking it out on us? The words showed no intent to cushion their meaning, and Stephanie ground her teeth at their accuracy. Oh, sister, if we're going to throw gas on the fire, let's not pretend to be asleep while we do it, okay? What? How did you know? Come on, I know you woke up when I said I'm looking for a girlfriend. We already don't have anyone on our side in this place, you know. We gotta, like, be nice. But Sora, having said that much, suddenly got an idea. Sensing something in the change in her brother's expression, Shiro spoke no more. Meanwhile, as if he'd had a change of personality, Sora's mouth twisted in a grin. Well, my sister is right, after all. It's no wonder the human race is failing. What did you say? Stephanie pulled the corners of her mouth taut, but Sora ignored her and intentionally cast his gaze crassly over her body. A frill-covered puff of a dress befitting a princess in a fantasy world was not enough to hide her voluptuous figure as his eyes almost looked over it. Choosing exactly the best suited words to infuriate her, he said, "You couldn't even see through cheating like that, and now you're taking it out on us, and then showing your anger on your face when a little kid calls you out on it? You're such a stooge. If this is the old king's bloodline, no wonder you're failing." So mean. Jesus. Sora looked at her with the kind of eyes used to pity an animal of low intelligence. Stephanie's eyes opened wide, and then she glared with an expression trembling in anger. Take it back. Take it back? What for? Say what you will about me, but I cannot allow you to mock my grandfather. Stephanie looked as if about to eat him alive, but Sora just grinned back, even waving his hand. You couldn't see her cheating because you were on the defensive. People like you who want to win as safely as they can without taking any risk are too busy protecting themselves to actually see what the other player is doing. Chuckling contemptuously, he let fly. Simple-minded, short-fused, no emotional control, conservative. Honestly speaking, you never had a chance. If you just shut up and listen to me! Stephanie got up from her chair looking as if about to grab him, but Sora interrupted. Then, let's play a game. What? Taken aback, but with unconcealed suspicion, Stephanie listened to Sora's words. What? You don't have to think too hard about it. It's just rock, paper, scissors. You know, rock, paper, scissors? Rock? Well, certainly. Great, I'm glad to hear you have it in this world too. So, we'll play that, but... He lifted a finger, slowly and carefully. Sora explained. No ordinary rock, paper, scissors. Are you ready? I'm only going to throw paper. What? If I throw anything else, I lose. But if I throw something else that beats you, you lose too, so it's a draw. And of course, if I throw anything else and you have the same thing, then I lose. If he throws anything other than paper, he loses? Not comprehending what this man was saying, Stephanie raised her guard still further. And what is the wager? Sora grinned as if to say, glad we could get straight to the point. If you win, I'll do anything and everything you ask. I can explain to you the reason you lost, the truth about the cheating, and if you tell me to die for having insulted your idiotic gramps, then that's that. Okay, I just want to say, before I read these next few pages, this whole inner monologue part where she's deciding what to do, I genuinely don't really understand what's going on. So if I read it weird, that's because I'm like, I don't really understand what's going on. I don't understand her thought process, but whatever. Maybe you will. Okay, you little... And if I win, You have to do anything and everything I ask. Sora's face was jovial but colder than ice as it stretched into an unsettling smile. Crudely, repulsively, and mercilessly even, he continued. I'm putting my life on the line here. Surely you don't mind staking your chastity and such. Stephanie felt the blood that had boiled up to her head draw back with a chill. This did, however, cool her head, and carefully she asked, what if we draw? I'll just give you a hint about the cheating, and in return, Sora made a sudden reversal, smiling while scratching his head bashfully. Perhaps you can grant me just one little favor. We should be able to get by for a few days with what we got. But, to tell you the truth, after our 4 nights here, we won't have any food or a place to stay. We were already worrying about what to do next. In other words, you want me to provide you with accommodation? Sora responded to Stephanie's words with a bubbly smile. Was that all? Apparently this guy just wanted to freeload for a while. What do you say? You backing out? He said I need to expand my brain. My brain is not the problem. Well, my brain is not the problem. If I'm reading something and I don't get it, and I decide very quickly if it's worth understanding. And I decided I didn't need to know, so I just skip it in my head mentally. So maybe I'll get it if I read it out loud. But I read really fast, so when I get tripped up on something, I skip it. That's also why I keep tripping up on words, because I'm like looking at them at the same time. I read too fast. Where am I at? Okay. Well, it's true that even if you learn about her cheating now, it's not like you'll get to be the queen anymore. I can see you love to play defensively, and there's no real need for you to take such a risk, so you don't have to, you don't want to. An all too blatant provocation. It was too easy to see through, but Stephanie decided to go along with it regardless. Very well, sir, I shall take you up on your challenge. Ashente. I think that's how you say it. That's how I read it. Ashente. 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 Okay. This word was an oath signifying a game under the 10 Covenants, an oath to the god that one was ready and willing to follow the 10 Covenants in a gamble that was absolutely binding. Okay, then on down. Ashente. Sora made his oath, accompanied by a grin, and a comment that obscured his true purpose. Stephanie, however, was already furiously churning through thoughts in her head. He is only going to throw paper? Does he think that if he says that I'm just going to obediently throw scissors? Looking at the conditions, he proposed. His intention was obvious. He's playing for a draw. That's the only way to look at it. This man just wants a place to stay, and he doesn't even actually know how she cheated. Surely that was the truth. If he loses and he doesn't throw paper, then the possible outcomes for each of my choices are rock, 2 wins, 1 loss. Scissors, 2 wins, 1 draw. Paper, 1 win and 2 draws. After he declared that he'd only throw paper, if I were just going to throw scissors, he'd throw rock. He must be thinking of laughing at me. Yep, just as I planned. Props for the innocence, moron. That said, if I throw paper, I won't lose no matter what. It will almost certainly be a draw, which is just what he wants. This cur thinks that there's no way I'll throw rock because it's the only way I could lose. Playing me for a fool. Whether I throw rocks or scissors, my odds of winning are 2 to 1. I won't let him have his way. I won't let him have his draw. Stephanie stared daggers through Sora. But after glaring at Sora's face, she swallowed. Truly, he was a base and a contemptible fellow, but that wasn't why. It was his cold, thin smile, that of a man who calmly knew he was going to win. Seeing Sora's expression, once again her risen blood dropped as if splashed with cold water. No, calm down. Think objectively. Stephanie admonished herself and circled her thoughts once more. He'd call her a stooge. Emotional, simple-minded. Should she allow herself to be provoked by this to prove his point? And she admonished herself thus. Stephanie realized something. Of course, it was obvious. This man, this Rogue, is that how you say it? Rogue. This Rogue, he had no choice but to throw papers, he declared. There's no other way he can win, which means no matter what I throw, he can only throw papers, he declared. If he wins, then lucky him. If he draws, then just as he planned. That's how it is, because he can lose no matter what he throws. Okay, see? Like, what? What does that mean? What am I supposed to get from these paragraphs? I skip it in my brain mentally. It means nothing to me. Well, are you about ready yet? Thor was smiling as if he had already won, but I only await you. Are you prepared to uphold the covenant? Stephanie answered with the same surety of victory. I can see your hand already. Cry out in defeat. Okay then, let's go. Yeah, rock, paper, scissors was what Stephanie drew, but her eyes... What? Open wide at Sora's rock. See? It's too... It's too much for me. What? How could... That wasn't... I give you points for not letting yourself be baited and go straight for the rock, but that's not enough. Wiping his silly grin off his face with ruthless composure, Sora calmly adjusted his position on the bed and spoke for Stephanie's inner thoughts. You are being baited, about to throw rock, the only way you could lose. But then my expression made you calm down and realize that I had no way to win except by throwing paper. What? He'd seen right through her. Wait, so his expression had just been acting? So that much is fine, but if you wanted to beat me, you should have thrown paper. Then you would have destroyed my one chance to win, and had twice as much a chance of beating me. He'd seen through everything. No, led everything. Oh, I did the noise early. Stephanie bit her lip, folded her knees, and put her hands on the floor. He'd known how she'd calm down. And on top of that, she'd go for the win. So this was it. This was the reason Stephanie had lost earlier that day. That seemed to be what he was saying, but he went on. Plus, this whole game is stacked for me to win in the first place. I know, you wanted to draw. So fine, I'll give you a place. Downcast, Stephanie threw this answer back at him, but... Yeah, that's the thing. That's not what I said, you know? Excuse me? Think back good and carefully. This is what I said, yeah? Perhaps you can grant me just one little favor. We should be able to get by for a few days with what we've got, but to tell you the truth, after our 4 nights here, we won't have food or a place to stay. We were already worrying about what to do next. Okay, here's the question. Did I say what the little favor was? What? Stephanie protested Stephanie fiercely, bolting to her feet. In a panic. You said you're confused? See, I told you. The rock, paper, scissors one is like the only game that I just skipped in my head mentally because I was like, I don't understand at all. And it's not meant for me to understand, and that's okay. We're gonna skip that. It's not important anymore. We're past it now. All you need to know is that Sora won and Stephanie lost and Stephanie's stupid and we're gonna bully her for the rest of the series. But I asked you, you want a place, right? Yeah, that's the thing. I never said yes. Stephanie revved her brain full throttle to play back what had happened. Just moments before, no place to stay, food, what to do next. These words were just decoration. Sora, this guy, had only smiled. And the one who assumed it meant he wanted to freeload was none other than... Now you see, so listen to my little favor request good and carefully. With the broadest grin, he pointed at Stephanie with a bang. Fall in love with me! You said a visual might work better. Yeah. It probably is like easier to understand in the anime, but I don't remember because it's been a long time since I watched it. Honestly, sometimes when I watch anime, they'll be talking about something and I'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna look at the pictures. Like, sometimes some anime, when they explain the powers, it's like, alright, you need to calm down. Like, what's a good one? A recent one. Jujutsu Kaisen, if I said that right. Sometimes when they explain the powers in that series, I'm like, okay. Okay. It's too much. I don't need to know. I just need to see that they're strong, and that's enough for me. Okay, there was a long silence. The one who broke it was the one who had been silently watching the scene play out, Shiro. Brother? Hehehe. What is it, my sister? Are you speechless in awe of your brother's perfect plan? His sister didn't seem to get it, but Sora went on, drunk on the brilliance of his request. The 6 of the 10 covenants, wagers sworn by the covenants, are absolutely binding, and according to the 9th, they were enforced by the power of God, so as to be impossible to break. Which would mean, of course, this was regardless of the individual's will. But, what do you mean? Said the sister, still confused. Next it was Sora who looked at her incredulously. Oh my, how unlike you, my little Emoto. He liked to throw in foreign words for effect. That's so funny. Does anybody know what Emoto means? I don't know what language that is. I wonder what language that is. Emoto. It's about the bonds of love, you know? If she's bound by the natural laws of this world to uphold the covenants, we can expect her to fall at my feet, right? Which means we've got our place, we've got money, and we've even got personnel. 3 birds with 1 stone. Sora seemed to be asking, "You're so smart. Why can't you understand that?" But Shiro mumbled, "Why not, be my possession? You could have gotten everything. Let's see." Sora experienced a moment of disorder, and then he sent his thoughts moving at high speed. If, as his sister suggested, he had commanded "be my possession," then his possessions would all be his automatically. That's funny. It does sound like that would be, why hadn't he thought of it? She was right. Why was it when Sora was the one who specialized in this kind of thing, when he was the one who had the ability to record and the record to back it up, did he... Brother, your personal feelings? Oh. Sora looked at his sister's cold eyes, which were half shut, probably not just from sleepiness. Ah! He grabbed his head and shrieked. It can't be! Could it be? Could it be my contemptible fear that if I miss this chance I'll never have a girlfriend for the rest of my life clouded my judgment in the moment when it mattered most? No! It can't! How could I make such a... Inconceivable. That he himself, the key strategist of Blank, can make such a blunder. It made Sora dizzy. With sulk in her voice, Shiro continued even colder. Brother, you said you didn't need a girlfriend. You said I was enough. I was trying to be cool. I'm sorry. Sora got down on his hands and knees and bowed his head before his sister, who pouted on the bed. But because, you know, I can't fool her out with my sister. And anyway, you're 11 years old. The police would come take me away. Your brother's in that time of his life, you know. I'm a young man. I've got... The brother filled the air with a barrage of excuses. The sister looked at him unmoved. Meanwhile... Water break. They're a disaster. I loved him. Poor Shiro. She's always fighting for his love. Why does he deny her? Stephanie herself, the one of whom the demand had been made upon, now ignored, looked down and trembled. Indeed, just As Sora had foreseen, the covenants could not be refused. They were the absolute law of the world. So, her face became hot and her heartbeat couldn't stop. Her chest was constricted by Sora as he now ignored her and bantered with his sister. Even if it was the law of this world, it couldn't be. Not for this guy. Not for this asshole. She couldn't be jealous. You really think I'm going along with this? Wow, holy shit. From her enraged trembling, Stephanie finally burst out and stood up. Glaring keenly at Sora from the stance of resolutely rejecting the feeling that had been planted in her against her will. Yet, as soon as they made eye contact, her heart skipped a beat and her face got even hotter. What part of this is a little favor? What do you think it means to play with a young girl's heart? While shouting, with her eyes averted in a desperate attempt to cover it up, as energetically as she gotten up, her momentum was flagging. Oh, you see, it's like, Sora scratched his cheek, his gaze floating around awkwardly. Though this was just what he had originally planned, his tremendous oversight had spoiled the mood, so he contemplated his options. Hey Shiro, what should we do? Don't ask me. He's so sad. He piteously begged his sister for help and was coldly dismissed. Ahem. Well then, Sora resigned himself to the situation and cleared his throat. He decided to pretend he hadn't made a mistake. I do that a lot too. That reminds me of like when I used to do like art critiques in my class, and the professor would be like, so in this work I can tell that you reference blah 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 and imply blah blah blah, and I'd be like, yeah, how did you know? That's crazy. I'm glad it came across. And I was just like, I just drew it because it was pretty. Sometimes you gotta fake that confidence, man. You really do. Let's see. The defiance made Sora feel more comfortable. He smiled frivolously. Everyone has their own standards for what's little. You have a snack, and someone says, "Can I have a bite of that?" And then they eat the whole thing and say it was one bite. Falling back into his groove, Sora returned to spewing such lines. That's fraud! However, it was of little interest to Stephanie as she argued back. Just hearing Sora's voice tickled her. It was a struggle. She'd really have liked him to stop talking, yet she couldn't get enough of hearing his voice. She held it back with an excuse of getting an explanation and continued arguing. Oblivious to Stephanie's girlish dilemma, Sora, 18 years old, virgin, was calm. He pointed as if to show a student her error. Yes, that's it. You got distracted by the rules of the game and forgot about the premises. That's no good. You know, overlooking overly vague statements like that, even considering that I intentionally made them hard to see by intimidatingly emphasizing the conditions of victory and defeat. Still, you know? In short, what he was aiming for in this game was a draw. That much Stephanie was right about all along, but that wouldn't get her there. The thing was that, whether it was a draw or a victory, the risk to Stephanie was the same. That was the true essence of this game. In other words, you swindler! That's right, it was a swindle. It was quite reasonable that Stephanie would want to yell this at him, but... What? How could you say such a thing? It's your fault for falling for it. That's exactly what a swindler would say! Hearing Stephanie's argument as it dragged on, Shiro came out from her sulking to finally butt in. Third of the 10 Covenant games are played for wagers that each agrees are of equal value. Glad to find Shiro finally back on his side, Sora continued. That's right, the key word is agrees. Likewise, look at the fourth. Insofar as it does not conflict with the three, any game or wager is permitted, which means... Squirming and lifting a finger, Shiro answered. Life's rights, These two can be bet. Indubitably, 'tis so. So by the time you're making the wagers, the game's already started. I think we're near the end. I think. Let me see. I think we're near the end. I think. Oh, there's a little bit more. Well, yeah, we're near the end. They made it out to be an explanation to Stephanie, but really it was just more sibling banter. But then, Shiro, but you didn't have to bet feelings. As a matter of fact, this was an unavoidable way of testing that personal volition does not play a part. Brother, I'm sorry. It seemed that pretending he hadn't made a mistake didn't work on his sister. But how dare you? How dare he become her first love by such fraud? It was probably cruel to blame Stephanie, who was still trying to argue with tears in her eyes, but the 6 of the 10 covenants, wagers sworn by the covenants, are absolutely binding. The 11-year-old girl with pity in her eyes quietly but accurately hit the mark. Forgetting the meaning and weight of that and taking his bait? That was your mistake. That's right. To begin with, according to the 10 Covenants 5, the party challenge will have the right to determine the game. Stephanie had the right to reject the game or change the rules. Those rights have been disregarded to start the game by one person and one person alone. Ugh, Stephanie herself. As if she had run out of things to say, Stephanie dropped down and sat on the floor. In fact, the covenant had been made. Stephanie was feeling its effects already. This was proof that the world recognized the validity of the contest. No matter what Stephanie said, she had lost, and the wager would be upheld. So, I'll take it that you've understood, Stephanie? You bastard, is what she wanted to scream, but her feelings wouldn't let her. What was more, hearing her name called sent a rush of sweet emotion. What is this? She bubbled into anger, which caused her to sink down to her knees, and elbows, and pound her head against the floor. Whoa, are you okay? Do I look okay? As Stephanie swung a glare at Sora with her red and swollen forehead, he faltered but pressed on. He said, "This is messed up." Well, it is, but also you have to change your perspective when you're reading No Game. Like, you have to, when you see something horrible happen, you have to look at it from the perspective of this is funny. And then you'll be okay. It'll be fine. It's funny. It's funny to bully Steph, okay? Steph is for bullying. Bad things happen to her because she's stupid. Sounds so mean. Bad things happen to her because it's funny, so it's okay. Where am I at? Oh. No, not really, but it was me who won the wager, so I'll proceed to what I want, okay? What he wanted, right. His goal wasn't to have her fall in love with him per se. Now she remembered. It was to have her fall at his feet. But wait, thought Stephanie. His request for her to fall in love with him, not to follow his orders? That meant Stephanie had no obligation to accept any further demands from him. Hehehehe. You thought you trapped me. That made things simpler. No matter what he asked, all she had to do was shoot back, no, and that took care of everything. Okay, first of all, Stephanie is too long, so can I call you Steph for short? Huh? Sure, I don't mind. Steph nodded happily at having her name shortened. Her decision made seconds earlier that she wouldn't accept any more demands was nowhere to be found. there was only a maiden, her cheeks flushing in joy at being given a nickname by her beloved. No, wait, it's not. I don't care what you call me. Yes, that's right, certainly. But I still don't have to accept any request you make after that. Choosing to force an explanation to herself, Steph still didn't realize that all she had to do was run out of this room immediately, which meant, unconsciously, she decided she wanted to stay here by Sora's side. Right. Then you can call me Sora. So Steph, you're part of the royal family, right? There it was, indeed. If his goal was for her to fall at his feet, money, housing, food, he'd ask for things like that. However, there was nothing forcing Steph to answer these demands. Steph snickered inwardly. Sora would come asking, and she would just straight out say, "I refuse." That swindler would realize his blunder. What a sight his face would be. Holding that line ready, Steph waited for Sora's demand. "Then you must have a big house. Can we live there together for a while?" "Oh yes, of course." Yeah, she is kind of like a bimbo. It's fun. She's fun. What? Wait, what? Steph entered a state of confusion at her own remarks, but she considered her face, which was heating up enough to give her a nosebleed. Sora's words, "Can we live there together?" In short, he meant, well, living together. He meant sharing a roof, cohabitating. Okay. Living together, which meant always being together, which meant sharing a bed, a bath. Ah, no, it's not like that. As Steph bashed her head against the wooden wall, Sora inquired sheepishly, his face pale. You're like, wow, it's not okay then? Of course it's okay. There's no use. Steph looked at the ceiling with a humorless smile. Indeed, Sora had made a spectacular mistake. A request with no contractual force, but Sora, who had never had a girlfriend in his life, and Steph, who had just been forced to experience her first love, had treated the fact that history has seen nations fall over a single love much too lightly. So cute. Silly. Hehehe. I don't care anymore. You can do whatever you want with me. Steph groveled, weeping on the floor. Sora's request may not have had any contractual force, but it was too late for her to do anything about it. Finally realizing this, Steph could only say this with empty eyes and a half smile. "Do you have any other requests? Heh. Just tell me your damned wish." But having come this far, it must be said that Steph's forethought was insufficient. She had not contemplated the most logical request to fall in love with me. Well, I guess... Sora glanced at Shiro. Steph had no way of knowing what that glance meant, but Shiro nodded. "It's okay. I would feel sorry for you if I had to wait... Well, if you had to wait until I was 18. Can you not talk about feeling sorry for me? Also, you know your brother's not going to mess around with his sister. That's why." Shiro stuck her thumb between her index and middle fingers without expression. "Brother, grats on losing your virginity." What? Yes, perhaps she'd been raised too well, or perhaps her imagination just wasn't powerful enough. The obvious idea that he would seek her body once more lit the eyes of Steph, who had surrendered entirely. What? You never said anything about... You've got to set up the mood for these things. Do it in the right place. Huh? But where the light returned was not the fear of her chastity being threatened, but the anticipation of it. And as soon as Steph realized as much, she went back to trying to dig a hole in the wall with her head. Sora showing no signs of recognizing the subtleties of Steph's heart in these distressing matters, he spoke plainly. "No, we can't have any R18 scenes until you're 18, Shiro." Huh? Steph mumbled, but of course no one paid attention to her. I don't mind. Well, your brother does. Pornography is bad for kids. It's absolutely unacceptable. I thought you just told her to fall in love because you don't like the sick and twisted genre. Excuse me. Why is it that you know all about your brother's sexual proclivities? Well, you've got all your game boxes in the room. They're everywhere. I would die. I would jump off a cliff. Steph had no idea what they were talking about, but she could certainly recognize when she was being ignored. And that, for some reason, they were assuming that the sister would have to be there. Couldn't you have your sister leave the room? Huh? I'm glad to hear you're looking forward to it, but there are certain reasons that's not going to work. That's not what I meant, stupid. Don't be crazy. Disregarding the red-faced Steph, like scholars who had hit upon a major problem and were searching for a solution, the pair folded their arms and pondered, which finally sparked an apparent realization. In that case, Shiro explicated the merciless solution. You can push the envelope. Oh, that's it. That's my sister, genius girl. Huh? Sora was doting on his sister, and the sister seemed to be enjoying it. And somehow, they seemed to have found a way for things to go there. With the sister present, Steph tensed. But how far can we go, I wonder? Brother, you're the expert on that. If that's a reference to manga and games, I should point out that things don't work the same way in real life, my dearest little sister. You don't know what to do? Because you're a virgin? As Sora showed his appreciation for her appropriate but unnecessary translation, Shiro waved her smartphone. Oh, I'll record it with my camera and tell you what to do. Setting aside the idea of telling me what to do for a moment, why do you need to record it, my dear sister? Brother, don't you want prawn? 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 I am puzzled by my sister's unusual consideration, but shall gratefully accept it. With complex feelings, Sora turned back to Steph. Steph, meanwhile, just stared, not knowing what the smartphone was. Joe started recording video and gave her first direction. Okay, take 1. He trips and he falls down, like... Oh, that scene. But how am I supposed to fall down in this? Sora looked around for something to trip on. Shiro crept up and kicked him lightly. Okay, I'm not sure if this picture is allowed to be shown. It's not that bad. I know it's coming up soon. Where is it? I think it's the next page. Oh, it's not that bad. I'll take a risk. Yeah. I'll take a risk. Whoa, I get it. Oops, I'm falling. Huh? With acting that wouldn't even qualify as third rate, Sora fell unnaturally onto Steph. When they landed, his hands were placed, of course, right on her breast. He could have ordered Steph to interpret the situation as mere cliché, but that would have been abusive, obviously. You going to sleep? Good night. We're going to sleep soon too, actually. Just a few pages left. I think 4 or 5. But yeah, we're almost done, everybody. Where am I at? Oh. Take 2. Breast fondling due to an act of God. How is it an act of God if I'm... Okay, never mind. No, let's do it, director. I'll do my best. Hey-ya! And then... Squish, 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 squish. Squish, 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 boink, boink. Everything else. Jiggle, jiggle, bounce, bounce. Squish, squish, boing. Whoa. Sora could only think of an interjection to describe the feeling that was as rich as he expected. Meanwhile, Steph was dumbfounded, with her eyes open wide. Her comprehension could not keep up with the situation. At least, that was certainly a factor. More importantly, the sensation of his hands on her gave her a feeling that somehow melted her thoughts. Okay, genuinely, I don't know if I'm allowed to show the picture. I said I was, but like, I'm not sure. It's not like explicit. It doesn't show anything, but I don't know how far you can go with imagery on Twit. Like, he's just grabbing her boob. Is that too far? He's just grabbing her boob. Is that too far? A clever censoring? Oh, maybe. Let's see. Let me switch this image out. Like, where would it be on the page? Maybe around here? Okay, let's see. Or maybe it's lower. I'll make it bigger first and then I'll lower it. Let's see. Nah. Okay. Look at her. Isn't she cute? Make it a little smaller. Look at her. She's adorable. She has puppy energy even without her puppy ears. I promise it's not like it's really not that sexual. He's just a squish. You can't see anything. But yeah. Twitch scares me, so I'm playing it safe. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's like 4 pages, I think. So let's go next. Next. And get off the screen. Okay. Oh, I'm not doing a moan. You're not gonna get me. You're not gonna get me, chat. Oh, a moan escaped Steph's lips. But fortunately, perhaps because she covered it, the two didn't hear it. 3D girls are actually not bad. Excuse me, director. Is this still gonna be rated all ages? Sure, brother, but I think you're overdoing it. Shiro knit her brows slightly, looking down at her own flat chest. Don't be ashamed, Shiro. Don't be ashamed. Be proud. Be proud. Oh, that's true. The breast fondling is purely an accident, so it would be better to limit it to 3 panels or so. So, what should we do next, director? Take 3, the ensuing breast slip. Wait, is that okay? Sora objected without thinking, but Director Shiro answered seriously and decisively. By jump standards, even full frontal nudity is nothing. Wait, no, she can't be naked. In real life, there are nipples, you know. Well, that's added in the trade paperback. Director, this is real life. This is happening in real life. We can't wipe them out or redraw them. Then, underwear? Well, sure, but I'm not sure how her clothes could come off in this situation. I love how they talk about this the whole time, like she's not also a person. Stuff. I told you, she is for bullying. She is just a person to be played with by everyone else in the story, pretty much. She's cute though. Sora and Shiro felt the pain of the disparity between the real world and fiction. Brother, what if we were talking about the bottom? Oh, I see. A flash from a skirt flip. You're right, director. That's totally okay for all ages. Skirt flip? Underwear? Are they talking about seeing my panties? No, that's not okay. My top is okay. Well, not really, but Steph was warned not by her barely remaining reason, but by her instincts. The bottom is not okay. Not okay. Definitely not okay. At the very least, not okay right now. It was, well, how best to put it? It might have been a planted emotion, but being pushed down and breast fondled by the one she loved, there were certain physiological changes that inevitably happened. Eep! Eep! Ah! The instinct thrust Steph's frazzled brain into action. Quickly, she swept away the arm Sora was touching her with and pushed him away. Whoa! Since Sora had crouched to flip her skirt, one push from the woman was enough to throw him off balance. He stood up in a struggle not to fall over, but it only made things worse. The distance he was falling lengthened, and he was forced to take a few steps back, which of course brought him to the door. The single light push from Steph carried him until gonk. A dull noise. Ow! Sora raised his voice upon hitting his head. But that wasn't the end of it. Low-cost lodging. The impact flicked open the cheap door fitting, and Sora fell straight into the hall. Brother! Huh? Hey, what? And so as to close off the voices of the two concerned about Sora, went the cheap metal, and wham! From the recoil of its opening, the door swung quietly closed. For a moment, Stephanie was stunned, not understanding what had just happened, but then realizing that her one push had thrust Sora out into the hall of the inn. Sora? She called his name for the first time as she hurried to her feet. There was a sensation of tightness in her chest, with a powerful feeling of unease. She decided to assume it was just concern that she might have hurt someone with her actions. As for the possibility that it was worry that he might not like her anymore, that she flatly refused to accept. While thus reassuring herself, she rushed to open the door and flew out into the hall. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Where are we at? Okay. There in the corner of the hall, Sora was clutching his head and shaking. What? She didn't think she had pushed him hard enough that he'd fall all the way over there. But there he was in the corner of the hall. Sora, are you okay? He was clutching his head. He had hit his head hard against the door. But it couldn't be. Steph paled, but... I'm sorry, forgive me, please forgive me. It seemed it wasn't because he hit his head. Still, Sora was just crouching and apologizing over and over. Pardon? I'm sorry, I mean, I thought if I missed a chance, I'd never have a chance to touch a boob in my whole life. I mean, I'm a guy, I do want a girlfriend, and I do have dirty thoughts, and no, really, I get it, so please don't look at me with those disdainful eyes. Yes, I'm awful, yes, I'm a pervert, yes, I know, I'm sorry. After cheating her and sexually harassing her, standing unashamed throughout, now Sora shook like a newborn lamb as he apologized. What is this about? Steph had no idea what was going on. She peeked back into the room, thinking she could ask his sister Shiro for an explanation. Brother, where are you? Don't leave me alone. Shiro on the bed was just like her brother, crouching with her knees in her arms, trembling visibly, dropping tears without expression. What's going on with these two? By now, Steph had forgotten all about having her breast grabbed, and all she could do was stare. Yes, this was blank. Sora and Shiro, the 2-in-1 player. It wasn't just about having different skills. If they were separated too far, in other words, it was because one was so socially phobic she couldn't even communicate, and the other was so socially maladjusted that he was beyond hope. Brother, where are you? I'm sorry. Are things making sense now? A loser, a shut-in, 2 siblings, separated by 7 years, could only be in the same place at home. This explained everything. And I'm pretty sure That's chapter 1. Yep. Yep. We're stopping there though. So we finished chapter 1. Yay! So that'll be it for tonight. Thank you everybody for coming. Like, I hope you like the story so far. Sorry, I keep banging stuff if you hear it. I hope you like the story so far, and I hope that if you're interested, you will watch it. Or you will read it. The anime is really good, so you can just watch it. But of course, the novels go past what the anime covers, so if you watch it and like it, you should consider reading it as well. Let me see if I can go back to page 1. Where's page 1? Page 1. There we go. But yeah, it was fun. I'm really glad everybody came. I actually thought that nobody would come because reading is boring. That was genuinely, I was like, I don't know if anybody's gonna show up because it's not like exciting or anything, but I'm really happy. It makes me feel like I can try like different stuff and see what is fun to do. You said you'd like to see me play a VN sometime. I do want to. I just need to settle on one. Because I would like to finish one all the way. But a lot of them are long. And I don't know if I'd want to deal with trying to censor Nekopara. I guess I could play the clean version, but I don't know. It was very Kipager's. Oh no. It's becoming a term. A 24-hour stream. No, I would die off. I would fall asleep and then half the stream or most of the stream would be like this. The clean version doesn't have that same feel. Yeah, it's like I would feel wrong. Like it would feel wrong to play the clean version. I would feel tainted somehow. I'll have to try and find a short visual novel I can play though. Or something. Like a real one, not like a funny joke one or something. But yeah. Threading the needle adds to the spiciness. No, it adds to my anxiousness, okay? Whoa. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Thank you so much for gifting everybody stuff. Very cool. Thank you for coming. Well, that's a crazy way to end. It's time to go to sleep now, everybody. Well, I guess it depends on your time zone. But it's 12 at night for me. You got a gift. That's what happened. I don't know the details either. You get super subscriber privileges, like you get to use the emotes that I haven't made yet. And you don't get ads, I'm pretty sure. But yeah. Uh-oh. Well, you can go to bed now. We are going to sleep, everybody. I don't care what time it is for you anymore. We are going to sleep, so good night. Can I, let me see. Get rid of the book. Get rid of the book. Good night. Good night. Thank you for following, and See y'all later.